Hi everyone, Jan Fursdon here from Fursdon House. I am going to do something new today that I've never done before. I'm going to attempt, with emphasis on the word attempt, to do a tutorial on my pressed flower journal cards. Several people have asked for one, and I keep thinking, oh yeah, I'll do it to the first of the year, and well, yeah, I'm going to eventually do it. And I thought, you know what, I need to make a batch now for a friend who's ordered some, so Terry, you started this. So anyway, hopefully you will actually see this video, because if it's horrible, I'm not even going to post it. But I'm going to start sort of backward. I'm eventually going to show you what I do to press flowers, but this is once they're already pressed. And this is how I store my pressed flowers once I get them out of the presses and the books and everything. And I just put them on, you know, they're just normal page protectors, and I just put it on one side, and I have a stack of them that I keep. You can see all these, and this doesn't even count the ones that I have for the that are still in the presses that I haven't taken out. So I'm getting quite a bit. So it's good that I'm actually doing it. But this, I'm gonna take one out here. The one I'm gonna use is Mexican Heather. It's one of my favorites. And I'm just going to lay it on top there. And what I do, first I come up with a piece of cardstock that I like, that I think will complement the flower or the leaf or whatever it is that I'm going to make a card out of. You don't have to get specific. You can use solid colors. I just try not to use something that is too busy. But again, you know, this has a lot of pattern in it, but it also makes a good card. So you're just going to have to play with that part of it. But the first thing I do, I take a large, well, you know, just standard size scrapbook sheet, and I literally fold it in half. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but anyway, I just fold it in half. And I love my bone folder. It's one of my most favorite tools. And then I have some templates that I purchased years ago for other things, but I'm going to use it for this. You don't have to have a template. You can freehand it, or you can, you know, draw any shape that you want. I just happen to have these, and for this I usually get at least 2 cards, and I'm just going to situate the one that I'm going to use here. I want the square up here a little bit higher on the card that's going to be, because I want to put the name of the flower down here. And I just take a pencil and literally go around it, and because I'm blind, I usually go around it pretty darkly. I'm hoping you can see that. And then I take my craft knife and I cut out the shape. So the scary part is that I can actually use a craft knife without killing myself or cutting myself. Probably shouldn't set it now because I've jinxed it. But because I'm not exactly overly coordinated. I used to do this by scissors, but it was just a pain in the neck. And a craft knife, it works. It works really well. And it doesn't have to be a perfect square, you know, it's just, you know, so you just take that out. And now you've got your opening for your card. Sometimes I'll try and clean it up, like there's obviously a little bit of a wonky bit, so I'm just going to come down here and freehand it. Get it a little bit straighter. And then I take, I think with this one, I'm going to go ahead and cut the card where I want it. So normally I would just do 2 at the same time, but I think this will be easier just showing you how. So I'm going to cut it down here. And I think, yeah, this will definitely be a little bit easier. And then you want to kind of look at things, see if it's going to work. Is it going to fit in here? Is it going to be too small? I think this one actually may be too small. So maybe I'll do another one. See if it'll work this one. I think I will. Yep. large card though. But we'll put it over the side here as much as we can. So y'all can see that this is not an exact science, and I adjust things as I go. So please don't think that this is just something that I can whip up in a matter of seconds, because it isn't. It's like anything. The more you do, the easier it becomes. I'm still amazed that I can use a craft knife. I mean, and it's very important if you are using a craft knife, if you've never used one, is to make sure that you have a glass surface or some kind of an absorbing surface on the base, because it will definitely cut through your wood or, you know, table or whatever. So I'm going to cut this side off. And there we have a larger card. And then what I'll do, I trim the leaf until it's the size that I want. And let's see. Actually, I think I'm going to trim that little. Maybe I'll do it that way. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to take these leaves off. I may use those leaves later. I call that artistic license. Yeah, I like that. So I may or may not use it. Use the leaves, I'm not sure yet. But a little bit more. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, so now I know that that's about the shape I need it. And now I'm going to get some acetate. The acetate that I use, I ordered off of the internet because it, what I found elsewhere is not necessarily the best. And it's not thick enough and all this other kind of stuff. So I'll show you the kind that I use. I'm just going to use a full sheet here. And I save all my pieces because you never know what size you're going to need for various projects. I mean, you can have it. But what I'm using here, let me see. It's called Graphics. 9x12 sheets. There are 25 sheets in a thing. Doesn't that help you? But the thickness of it, if I can peel this back. There we go. Is 0.005. Now that's what I like to use. You can get much thinner, and if you don't want to go buying acetate, you can use things like the plastic containers that you can save, that are the sheets and all that kind of stuff come in. You can use that. You can also use the plastic that comes with page protectors and stuff like that. But this is what I use. I'm hoping you've got a good view of that. But anyway, that's what I use. And so the next thing I do, I've got to come up with, and each page has this little protector. Sometimes I just get rid of it, sometimes I don't. But what I'm wanting to do is just kind of make a little tick mark here. Dangerous using that, but oh well. And you don't want it to be much larger than your hole, because you're going to be in, well, at least this is what I do. I sew around here, so having to sew a lot of extra thicknesses is just not great. So I just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't take a lot. As I said, I like eyeballing stuff. My husband drives him nuts, bless his heart, because he wants to get out the ruler and the this and the that and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But again, I always check it. So you can see there. So we're going to need 2 of those, 1 on each side of the paper. So let's just go ahead and cut another one. Yeah, see, here's where I want to just get rid of this stuff, because it's like, sometimes it's easier to see with it on there, but it can also get in my way. Don't get in my way. So I'm just going to cut it out. So now I have 2 pieces of the acetate. I'm not sure if you can see those or not. And what I'm going to do, I open up my card. Now, you don't have to have your cardstock folded over. I just figure that's easier to play with rather than having 2 pieces all over the place. And I take my glue. Should have already had it ready, but oh well. And whoops, see, I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing I do, ink your edges. You can do it after, but I think it does a better job if you do it before. So that's what I'm going to do. And this is Tim Holtz, what is it, vintage photo. I use that for just about everything. I'm not going to do the rest of the card yet. But, so once you have that hole in there, you want to go ahead and ink it. Like I said, you can do it after the fact, but this just does a better job of it, I think. And then I save the rest of the inking for later, because once I sew on it, sometimes, you know, with the, depending on the color of thread I want to use, the thread will be kind of bright. Like if I'm using cream color or white, it sort of glares, and I don't like that. So I save the final inking until the very end, and that way sometimes I'll even go over it with go over the threads with the ink. Okay, so we've got both of our sides done, and now we're going to open it up, and we want to put in, where did I put them? See, they're hard to see. Here we are, here we are. So you want to just kind of figure out, you know, your placement here. And just put, you don't need a lot of glue. Matter of fact, the less the better, because otherwise you're going to be sewing through glue. And that's not good. So I'm just going to put a dot, a dot, 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 dot. Basically what you're using, or you're wanting to do, is just come up with a, just enough to hold it in place. Because it will be stitched down. And then I take my bone folder. Now, experience, do not go like from one side all the way to the other, because it's going to get your glue. You're going to rake your glue right onto the acetate. So I start sort of like in the center, and then I do this, and then I'll do this side, and that way I'm not dragging some of the stuff over in the wrong place. And then I just turn it upside down, right side up, depending on which way you started. Put in a few more dabs of glue, and you can use other glue. This is just handy right now. And as I said, it doesn't have to be super, super strong at this point, simply because it's going to be sewn down. I use this Fabrifix. It's not cheap, so that's why I don't want to use a lot of it. And if I can use cheaper glues on other stuff, then I do that. Always use your coupons. I get this from Michael's. I get it from Hobby Lobby. Sometimes Joann Fabrics. You know, wherever I can. I'm going to move that just a shade over because it almost went past the card. But always use your coupons, because as I said, this glue is not cheap. Fabulous glue, don't get me wrong. It's fantastic glue. But it is not cheap. Okay, now, so running right along here, take your flower or whatever it is you're pressed. I do leaves. Cedar is a really good one. I do red and green Japanese maple. So a lot of strawberry leaves, they do real well. And just again, decide on your placement. And I'm just going to put a dot of glue, very tiny, on the reverse here. Now keep in mind, you're going to see the reverse, so you don't want a bunch of glue on one side and then, you know, showing up, but just a tiny bit, just to sort of hold it in place until everything can get sewn down. And I just place it right there, give it a little tap. I think that worked out really well. Okay, and then again, I'm going to put a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here, and that's going to hold that in place while I, what was that? Hold the card in place while I go sew it. Okay. So I'm going to pause this for a minute, and then I will come back to you after I've sewn it up, and then you can see what I've done. And again, what I'm going to look for is some kind of a coordinating thread that I like. So hold on, I'll be right back.